Okie dokie. Back from Chicago, where on the last day I walked 5 miles and re-injured my heel again. Wonderful. Anyway, I've been testing this lens, the new Tamron 18 to 400 millimeter. What? 18 to 400 millimeter. Exactly. Let me first start off by saying two things. This is an ultra zoom lens, not the one that I'm putting on here right now. It's the 1755-28. This is an ultra zoom as opposed to a super zoom. Super zoom, for example, would be like 18 to 200 millimeter, made by Nikon. This is an ultra zoom, and oh my God, look how far it extends. Point number one, I have always hated both, pretty much, super zoom lenses and definitely ultra zooms. The actual Nikkor 28 to 300 millimeter is actually not that bad. I have that lens. I also have the 18 to 200 millimeter. The 28 to 300 millimeter is $1,000. For what it is, it's actually quite decent. Obviously, poor micro contrast would be undesirable for black and white photography. It extends out too far. It's an obnoxiously huge lens with an enormous amount of glass in it. This is actually relatively low at 16 elements. For Christ's sakes, the Zeiss Otis 55 millimeter has almost as much glass in it as this does. So point number one, I hate these sort of lenses. Hold on. Number two, I have been praising a lot of Tamron's lenses lately because they have produced some stunning images from their most recent past year and a half. 15 to 30 millimeter Tamron, incredible. The 70 to 200 2.8 G2, incredible. The most recent introduction from about a month ago, the 2470 G2, also incredible, and a lot cheaper than Nikon, and made better than Nikon's lenses. However, Nikon 70 to 200 is incredible. I did not give recommendations to Tamron's 85 millimeter portrait lens. I did not, their most recent incarnation, including their 150 millimeter to 600 millimeter. I didn't recommend it, but I mean, it really didn't have a snowflake's chance in hell of winning a recommendation from me anyway. Why? Not that Tamron isn't excellent, but because Nikon, there's no way that Tamron, much less the junk from Sigma, had any chance of competing with the 200 to 500 millimeter Nikkor, which is almost heavenly by design, manufacture, and its vibration control is incredible. So even though the Tamron's excellent, it certainly doesn't beat the Nikon. So if you're going to accuse me of blowing smoke up Tamron's skirt in the review that I'm about to give this lens, I assure you that's not the case, because I didn't recommend those two recent incarnations from Tamron. So some people have nobody's watching countless thousands of videos from me, so they don't know that I am not a Tamron shill. Tamron gives me nothing. However, I will tell you flat out right now that this lens was shocking. Shocking. Let me use that word, shocking. From an ultra zoom lens, shocking? I mean, look at this. This is slightly ridiculous. There's also, and that's because the helical nature of the zoom lens on the extension from the front and primaries to the midsection of the barrel on this, that we actually have a hitch, but the Nikon 28 to 300 also has a hitch. In other words, there's a rough spot that you get over the hump in the helicoil for the zooming section, right at about 110 millimeters. No big deal there. Nikon has the same issue, so that's not an issue. Vibration control, all fine. No vignetting. I noticed either at either far end, either at 18 millimeter. I was testing this extensively on the Nikon D500. No vignetting on either far end. No fuzzy corners. I also noticed at 400 millimeters. A little bit at 18 millimeters. Nothing substantial. Perfectly usable with extremely little, if no crop at all, on 18 millimeters. This lens is actually incredible. And I'm a lens snob. I love prime lenses. I got hundreds and hundreds of lenses, and I've tested countless hundreds more. This lens is incredible. I would be happy to have this as a travel lens. This is an excellent lens. What was really shocking about this lens too was the bokeh. The color saturation on this was actually quite shocking. The bokeh on this lens was really shocking. There's no other ultra zoom or super zoom lens I know out there that has decent bokeh. Nope, but I've used most of them except for Canon's super zoom lenses. I've used most of them. This lens, I got, by the way, I got links below for test shots of a kitty cat. Maybe the koala fondler will like those images because he really likes cats a lot. This is a stray cat that hangs around the house. I went to the park, used this lens, went downtown, used it. I posted some kitty cat shots around the house from a wild stray cat. It's an excellent lens. All of the images, too, are straight out of camera. The lens is an absolutely excellent performer. Actually, on a scale of 0 to 100, maybe 1 to 100, wouldn't it? I'd actually give this in the upper 90s, 95, 96%. Not based relative to prime lenses, but as far as what it is designed to do, relative to Nikon's 18 to 200 millimeter, relative to Nikon's 28 to 300 millimeter, which is ungodly expensive, by the way. This lens is incredible. Of course, I know that's a full-frame lens, a 28 millimeter 300. It's a full-frame lens. It's obnoxiously huge, heavy, and expensive. Given. This lens was actually shocking. I'd actually like to own this lens. And I say that with all sincerity. And I did need to mention that about the fact that not everything that Tamron has brought out in the past recent 4+ years I have recommended, like their 85 millimeter, no. Their 150 millimeter super zoom telephoto, 150, 600, no. Nikon 200 to 500 beats that, but I mean nobody had a chance of beating the Nikon on that one. So just want to be sure that that Tamron doesn't give me anything. I'm not, in cahoots with Tamron. Because I genuinely do hate these kind of lenses, but this lens is an exception. I state that fully and explicitly with no affiliate link below, none. No connection to Tamron, none. They don't give me anything. However, they did offer a free lens for a photo contest that I did, but that was because I asked and as I wanted to give the lens away. Nice guy up in Canada won that lens. So I guess they gave me something, but it wasn't for me because I already have that lens, but they gave it to me to give away. So, full disclosure on that, but I disclosed that like a week and a half ago anyway. So, oddly enough, even though I can't stand these sort of lenses, this lens is actually incredible. It's got wonderful bokeh. It's plenty sharp. Is it going to render like a prime lens? No, it's not. But I mean, for Christ's sakes, it's 18 to 400 millimeters. This lens is actually extremely awesome. I'm really surprised. I was really surprised at this lens. Usually lenses like this, too, they absolutely suck on either far ends at roughly 30 or so millimeters. So you could take the 18 to 200 millimeter, which sucks, between 18 to 40, and basically call it a 50 to 160 millimeter lens and just ignore either far ends because they suck, too much vignetting, the corners are too soft. That's not the case with this lens. Tamron, I can actually say, with this lens, Tamron has crucified Nikon in the ultra zoom department. If anybody wants, hey, I got a Nikon D500, I got a Nikon D whatever. I want one lens for travel, I want to pack light. I'm going to take one prime lens for that occasion when I want the best rendering. Whatever the hell that lens is. Wide angle for street and portraiture. For street and architectural. Or some portrait. Okay, that's one. Okay, what are the second lens? It would be this lens. I don't... Since I can't stand these sort of lenses, I don't say that lightly. This is actually an incredible damn lens. And I've never said that about any ultra zoom or super zoom lens. Never. I've never said that. Yes, it does extend out quite far, but what the hell did you expect? 18 to 400 millimeters. I take the lens hood off of it here. And it does have a locking switch, the same thing as you can lock it in place, so it doesn't extend. Actually, this lens, unlike the Nikon 28 to 300, you can sit there and do that number and it'll whoop. This lens even unlock. This lens doesn't actually require a locking lever. This lens is never gonna self-extend like the Nikon lenses. This is a really great lens. I was actually shocked. I give it my highest recommendation for what it is. It's why could you recommend this as highly? It's an ultra zoom lens, How's this? I'm not comparing this against some Voigtlander 58 millimeter, I'm saying in the category of what this is the best at what it is. It is. I always got a habit of actually cleaning the rear mount of my lenses like this. You actually rub your finger around the back, just put a little bit of skin oil on it, and it removes residue. This is a great lens for a cheap price, relatively cheap price. There we go. There's the full review of the 18-400mm f3.5 DIVC HLD. I hate all those acronyms at Nikon and Canon and Tamron. This is the DIVC LD ABS VR fluorine coated super hyper. Give me a break with that crap, will you? I know they describe the lens. Let's just say it's an ultra zoom with vibration control. Okay? Excellent lens. Tamron crucified it with this lens. I was not looking forward to reviewing this lens because I don't like these lenses. This is a lens I would actually like to own. Really. I mean, it really is. I would not be unhappy having this lens. Not only not be happy, I'd be actually be happy owning it. Very surprised. Performed perfectly at both ends. No vignetting, I could tell. No corner soft. A little bit of corner softness at 18mm at the near wide. No different than any D series wide prime from Nikon, though. Better than most like D series era wide primes from Nikon. Shocking. Tamron crucified it with this lens. I'm just going to put it that way. Thus spoke the Lord of Lenses. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this review. Click the links below. Take a look at the pictures of the kitty cat. Of the kitty. Meow! I've had too much caffeine. My foot is killing me. My Achilles tendon is swollen. Tomorrow's my birthday. Somebody send me a pizza, for Christ's sakes. Thank you. And goodbye. Ow. Ow. Yeah, my foot hurts. Ow.